This is a real messy recap. You're welcome. I don't know who directed this, but they need a timeout.
We've crossed a meme threshold.
He's doing the program that he was conceived in.
Listen, you want details? Watch the episode. Worf, we're not like other girls. We want to fight.
I think you're expecting too much from Star Trek.
Listen, you ask for honesty, you're gonna be roasted.
Num num num. Tragedy.
Wow, I really look forward to what this Brandon Braga is going to bring to the series.
Sorry, we haven't watched the worst episode of TNG yet? No, we're gonna fucking finish this. We're trucking through. Okay.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional, a TNG podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
And today we are doing our Season 5 retrospective. It's always awkward starting these because I don't have my usual spiel to get into the groove of things, but yeah,
Ain't got no script.
We're almost done. We're 2 seasons away from finishing the series. It's crazy. So, let's start off by just... Dory, what were your general thoughts on this season?
This season brought us, like, highs and some real fucking lows.
Yeah, that's every season of Star Trek, to be fair.
I think, though, this season brought some... Maybe some of the worst lows, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, this season has violations in it. So I think that's probably the lowest low.
Okay, Dory, I want you to keep that thought in your mind, but then I want you to go back to season 1, watch Code of Honor again, and then watch that one where Troy got pregnant in season 2. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head.
I don't want to.
That they have worse. Sorry, tell us that they have higher lows than this.
I think they're it's all pretty low, but I think this one is it's all very bad.
Yeah.
It's all very bad. This just I think
like it's I think because that episode, in my opinion, is like the lowest of the low. It really does bring a damper on the whole season.
That's fair.
Like, yeah. But yeah, I think this is like, I think season 5 is like, you know, that's like fully in the groove TNG.
Yeah. Yeah, it's considered some of the strongest stuff. At least what is good in it.
Yeah.
I mean, we have The Inner Light as one of the showcase episodes of the season that's considered like one of the more narrative impactful stories that Star Trek has done. You got a cute Borg played by a gay man. You got Ensign Ro. You got to start off the episode with some Klingon drama. Or sorry, start off the season with some Klingon drama. You got to see Wesley Crusher again, since he had fucked off over to Starfleet Academy.
Yeah, Wes had some real highs and lows this season too.
Yep.
Oh God, oh poor Wes.
Yeah. So what? Like now we're like, you know, in the latter half of this Star Trek: The Next Generation journey. How are you feeling about the show and all that stuff, and where you thought like what you thought the show was versus what it's turning out to be?
Okay, so here's sort of the best way I know how to sort of phrase it. So I've been listening to a podcast nonstop since January.
That's
and
not ours?
I listen, like, honestly, I listen to ours and this other podcast. That's it.
I know. I listen. Joking.
Yeah. No, but that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just that's it. And it's a D&D podcast, and I got very, very emotionally involved. It just like, and this is over, like, I just finished the first campaign like days ago. Mm-hmm. Like Saturday? Yeah. I don't know anymore. Oh, Friday. I think it was Friday. And I was emotionally destroyed by the end of it. And that was 7 months, we've been doing this for almost 3 years now.
Wow, yeah,
So
we have.
if anything happens to any of the team, I am going to burn everything to the ground at this point.
Spoilers. No, I'm kidding.
I am very emotionally attached
Yeah.
to these nerds.
Yeah.
And that's where we are at this point, is like, I'm
invested.
I am so invested that like if anything happens to them, I will be upset, very upset, and good chance I will fucking cry.
Yeah.
Anybody comes anywhere near any of our guys, there will be a strongly
Yeah.
screamed message from me at my computer alone.
Yeah, because you were emotionally devastated after Tasha, and that was really early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
She didn't
now,
even get any character development.
Yeah.
yeah. And now, oh, it's like,
Yeah.
try me, TNG. Try me.
I think, Dory, what you're saying
So
is that
one of us.
I think what you're saying is that the often mused about idea that we should, after we finish TNG, eventually go on with the TNG movies so that you get like the complete journey of these characters. I think you're kind of answering whether or not we should do that with this, because you're invested in these guys.
I am very invested in these people. If anything happens to them.
If it's any consolation, so while there was a kind of sequel series in Star Trek Picard, it really isn't. Like, the first 2 seasons have pretty much nothing to do with previous Star Trek characters. Previous TNG characters, aside from Picard himself. Like, Data is there, and they deal with that, and it's kind of strange. But then season 3 that just came out is considered by all to be like this absolute love letter to TNG, and they brought back all the original cast. And
Here's the thing, though, with the movies, is that I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I will say they kind of ruin it.
yeah, they have a very different feel.
I feel like the TV series ends very well on such a good note. I think they did an amazing job with it. Then the movies, and I think they kind of ruined it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I agree with that.
And I haven't watched season 3 of Picard yet, but from what I hear is basically like, yeah, they just kind of fixed what they ruined.
There's a lot of nostalgia bait, and I really won't get into the details of how it's nostalgia bait. It just is very heavily, obviously nostalgia bait. It does a very good job of being respectful about it, and it actually does a pretty good job of working most of it into the narrative in like in a way that's believable, until about the end when it gets a little redonkulous, is par of the course for new Star Trek.
Everything I've heard about it is that it's very obviously fan service, but they managed to make it pretty organic.
Yes.
And
yes, absolutely.
make sense.
Yes. Yeah, so I will give them that much. I really don't regret watching it. I very much enjoyed it, especially while I was going through it. And I think, look, I'm not saying that you're incorrect here in that TNG's story ends at the end of season 7. Everything else is just tacked on afterwards. But this is Dory we're talking about.
True.
Will she care that it ends at season 7 knowing that there's more?
If I can establish that anything that happens after this show is not real, it's like, I can say it's like fan fiction. It's someone else's fan fiction, I can probably get behind it. Okay, I am so invested that I saw on Fan Expo's website that Gates McFadden is going to be at Fan Expo, and for a second I was like, should I go? And I haven't been to Fan Expo in many, many years. And I thought about it for a second.
Yeah.
Just to see her.
You could. She's such a mom.
Yeah.
She's
I mean,
so cool.
that's adorable.
But then I'm like, ugh, but then there's so many nerds.
Yeah, there really are.
No, I went to Fan Expo for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I think it's just like I feel old with it now, just because like not that like I'm too old to go. It's just that like last time I went was like a Friday, and it was great because it was like quiet.
Yeah, it's a bit of an ordeal, and it's very overwhelming. Also,
and now I'm like I'd have to go on a weekend because of work, and I'm like, oh god, the weekend, but that's people. That's so many people.
Yeah. And quite frankly, as a convention, Fan Expo kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Like, there are way better conventions than Fan Expo.
Just
I'm
not
sure.
for Star Trek people in Toronto.
Yeah.
I like Artist Alley. I've gotten a lot of
Yes.
stuff from there over the years, and I love that. And I like the panels. I've been to a handful of the panels over the years, and they've been fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw her name, and I was like, do I?
It's too bad Polaris isn't a thing anymore, because that was like a Star Trek convention as
Yeah.
far as yeah. And I met Will Wheaton there.
Cool.
Oh,
He was cool. He was very nice. Also met some really cool Klingon cosplayers. And if you ever get the chance, like, hang out with people that cosplay as Klingons, because they're on a whole different level. They are, like, I can't speak for every single one, obviously, but in general, I find they're super fun. Yeah.
Also,
that's gotta be like a whole level of dedication.
Dory, fun fact, Robert O'Reilly, who you would know from this season as the guy who played Gowron.
Yeah, with
beginning
the
of
eyes?
season.
Eyes?
Yes.
Oh, how could I forget Gowron?
eyes. Yeah, he has cosplayed as a Klingon.
Oh,
Like, he's gone to conventions dressed as a Klingon, and I'm just like, my dude, you're a boss.
Nice. As Gowron or as
Yes,
just a
as
random?
Gowron.
Nice. I wonder,
great.
like, when it's an actor, like, is that cosplay or is that just being in costume?
I don't know, actually, because him and J.G. Hertzler got together dressed as Klingons to go to a convention at one point, and like this was only a few years ago. It's really funny.
That's
I'll
funny.
see if I can find some pictures for you.
Yeah,
I
I don't know.
think-
I don't know what the official definition of that is, because, like, to me, it's like, I don't know if it's cosplay, if it's like your character. You're just being your character. But also, I could be wrong.
I think years ago, what's his name? Bryan Cranston went to Comic-Con or something, and he wore like a Walter
yeah.
White mask
Yeah,
or
he
something.
wore a mask over his face, yeah.
Yeah, which is like, is this human Inception? Is that what maybe it is?
Have you ever, do you know who Adam Savage is? From
Yes, Mythbusters.
Yeah.
Of course.
So, like, every year, I think it's San Diego Comic-Con, because that's, like, the Comic-Con is San Diego Comic-Con. He always does undercover cosplay, where he wears a costume, like, where you can't tell who he is. And, like, it's always kind of like a little game to see if you can figure out, like, who he went as.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to go to Comic-Con. I feel like it'd be too stressful for me.
Yeah.
I know people who have gone, but I just like, I think Fan Expo makes me just like, that's too many people. And I imagine Comic-Con is at like a much, 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 much higher degree of people.
Yeah.
So
Conventions are a lot, and, like, there's a certain, like, culture and stuff to conventions that, like, you have to deal with, and, you know, you have to deal with people. Not only do you have to deal with people, but you do have to deal with a lot of people that don't know how to interact with other people.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'd be
Yeah.
a great,
Con goer.
Because you
Well,
don't know how to
I-
interact with people.
I wish I was like less conscious, honestly. That would make things a lot easier.
Yeah. If only I didn't have shame.
If only I didn't have anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, I've been to a few conventions, but it's
But the fact that you were like for a second like maybe for Gates McFadden is like
Yeah.
you're turning into a Trekkie for sure.
Here's also my other concern. I never know how I'm going to react to seeing like a famous person I like. It can go either very well or very poorly. So, I don't know how I would react to just seeing her. So, probably a good call to not go. I will just, be a big Dr. C fan through Netflix from afar
until they remove Star Trek from Netflix.
Yeah.
Let them try. I dare them.
Don't worry. Like, we have sources to get it to you. You will never be without Star Trek.
Very true.
Yes.
You just need several terabytes.
Yeah.
Well, I can find it. I just like Netflix. I can stop and start a lot easier.
Yeah.
I'm very invested. I am committed, and it's upsetting.
Did you ever expect to get this invested in it?
No, because I can get invested in things, but unless I I find different levels.
Yeah.
But I think now I've just spent like years with these people that like I just like I'm gonna fight somebody for them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight Mark Twain for Data.
I mean, fair.
Do you think you would have gotten this invested if we were just casually watching it and we weren't doing like a show about it?
Maybe. I think though, like part of it is like the discussion about it, because like,
yeah.
But I feel like if we watched it on our own, we would still have discussions.
Yeah,
about
you would have been
So
getting
I
that from
feel-
Maggie and I. For sure.
I think I still would have gone invested.
Because we like hold ourselves back from talking about it so we can do it on the podcast.
It's true.
Yeah, I think I would. I think I would be just as invested.
Yeah.
If I wasn't
It might have
doing
been
the podcast.
It might have been harder for us to get you past that initial hump of like the first couple seasons or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But I'm glad I stuck with it. Also
Yeah.
got me some points in trivia.
Nice.
And so now I know some stuff about TNG, and now it got me to watch Strange New Worlds, which I am enjoying.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And I guess I'm a Trekkie now.
Yeah.
So haha.
Yeah, and you get to enjoy the musical episode of Strange New Worlds that's coming out next month.
Yes.
I'm like,
yes.
as soon as I saw that they were doing that, I'm like, this is like just
This is
made for Dory. Yeah.
This is my dream come true.
Yeah.
A musical? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. I watched the trailer and I am very psyched. And I was like, okay, when you sent me the message, I was like, okay, when is this gonna be? It's gonna be it's very soon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god, I don't have to wait very long for it. I'm so excited. I'm gonna be right on like the edge of the couch, like so excited. And these songs better be fucking bangers.
Yeah. They're original songs too, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, they better be bangers. I wonder who's like writing the songs.
They said, but I don't remember.
Okay, it better. I want some corny shit. I want
Yeah.
some jokes. I want if I don't want anything legit serious.
What you've already been getting out of Strange New Worlds, I'd say prepare for the corny shit.
I want
Yeah.
the corny shit. Give me all the corny shit.
Give
Here's
me
the
all the
thing,
corn.
I still have
I'm
to catch
invested.
up. Yeah, I still have to catch up on Strange New Worlds, but I am glad that Star Trek is just being fucking goofy.
Yes.
Like, because
Oh,
it's always
yeah.
been goofy as shit. Like it's going back to its roots. Like,
Yes, absolutely.
They've had some like really like hilarious, like solid episodes season 2 so far that I've really, really enjoyed. One was the Toronto episode, of course. And then there was a Spock one that came out a couple weeks ago that I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah.
The guy who plays Spock, Ethan Peck, is very good. He's so funny.
He
funny.
is. I
He's
really
very,
enjoy
very good.
him as Spock. I think
good.
that they did a good job casting him. So like back when the reboot films came out in 2009, there was obviously a lot of comparison that went back to like, oh, well, these characters from the original series, how well are they doing that?
Well, I think Zachary Quinto was like one of the, if not the first, one of the first people to like play Spock since Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah, he was.
So it was like
he was. So that was considered to be a big thing. I thought he was fine. The thing is, my problem with him is that he wasn't really written much like Spock, and I don't think he did a great job approximating Leonard Nimoy at the time, and that's fine. Like you're reinterpreting the character, and I get that. That's going to be part of it. But what really threw me off about those films is that you have other actors in the film who are just like projecting the original actor's performance.
Yeah.
And that's all they're doing. And that's fine. Like, don't get me wrong. When Carl Urban was playing Urban was not playing Bones. He was playing DeForest Kelley playing Bones.
Yeah, but he was fucking amazing at it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I fucking like Carl Urban as Dr. McCoy, just loved it.
But it throws me off because he's playing the previous interpretation of that character, and other actors are not necessarily doing that. Like, you can't tell me that Uhura was Uhura in that movie, because Uhura is barely a character who had any development in the original series anyway.
Yeah.
And it was the same with Sulu and Chekhov. These are side characters who are there to show that these people can exist on the bridge in the future, and it's a totally normal thing. There's nothing weird about it.
Yeah. But yeah, they didn't really have much of a character, I'd say.
They didn't. All of them got a little bit of development in the films, but by that point, that's like 25 years after these movies are supposed to take place, or more than that. So, like, it's a weird point of contention where you have to deal with that. And now you've got this situation where you've got people complaining about current Spock, Ethan Peck's Spock, and they're just like, oh, he's having too much fun. He's too lighthearted, like he's too emotional. And I'm like, I'm sorry, did you fuckers see The Cage? He flat out laughs in that.
Yeah. This is also, okay, like, people will have their own interpretations of the character. It's probably better that way. So that's fine. Also, this is like this is a pre-TOS Spock. Yeah. Like, maybe he's just jaded by the time the original series comes around. You know, like, who knows?
Like, if there's anything we've seen from Spock in his many interpretations over the years, it's that he changes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't just mean from different actors. I mean, like, from, like, the different films and whatnot, all the way back to the original series. Even in his appearance in TNG, he changes as a character, and he's actually a stubborn, somewhat emotional individual.
Oh, yeah. For sure. About the Zachary Quinto thing, I think I might be a little biased just because, like, I thought he was hot as Spock. That's probably it. Listen, my first like crush, my like sexual awakening was Leonard Nimoy as Spock, and then Zachary Quinto is just, I think he's hot, and then him as Spock was like just extra. So
that's fair.
I like Ethan Peck because his grandpa was really hot.
Very true. Yes. I mean, I'm not Ethan even Peck's joking. A great-looking guy too.
Yeah.
Yes, he is very hot. But Gregory Peck?
Yeah.
Ugh, watch Roman Holiday? Excuse me.
Oh, you know what? That's also
not
makes
a phrase
him
I ever
a
thought
great
I'd hear.
Spock. Because he's a Nepo baby, just like the real Spock.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Wow.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah. Good. Well, yeah.
It's like he's playing from experience.
Yeah. He's great. I like it. I'm enjoying this. I also, even though, like, I've never actually seen William Shatner as Kirk, so I don't have any reference for it. I've just seen Chris Pine as Kirk, and I didn't care that much. I mean, and I like Chris Pine a lot. I think he's a great actor, and I think he's really fun. But I didn't care very much for him as
his Kirk didn't resonate.
Kirk,
Yeah,
but I like what's his face in Strange New Worlds.
Oh,
I'm enjoying him.
Damn, what's his name?
From Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
I can't think of what the actor's name is, but I'm enjoying him.
Yeah,
is
I have
he
nothing to
Kirk, or is he
to.
still like his brother or whatever?
No, he's
No,
James.
he's Kirk.
Oh, okay.
No,
he's young Lieutenant James Tiberius Kirk.
Okay, cool.
yeah, and then his brother Sam is on the Enterprise right now.
Yeah, so he's actually
Sam is hot. Sam is
he-
hot even with his mustache. I'll allow it.
He's actually channeling Shatner more than Chris Pine did, and I'm saying that because Chris Pine didn't channel Shatner at all. Basically,
No.
he was essentially left up to reinterpret the character, and that's fine. Like
But
I
he didn't
enjoyed him
really
enough.
To be honest, like Chris Pine was fine. It wasn't anything like bad, but it wasn't anything special. He didn't.
No.
He was just like I'm like the good-looking cowboy, and that's it. And like
Yeah.
he didn't really bring anything to the character.
I mean, a lot of that is the writing, I think.
Yeah,
I
definitely
don't think
so.
he could have done anything that would have really improved it, because
yeah.
he was written to be, just like the badass hot guy, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because of that, he didn't get a lot of moments to really shine. I think he did a really good job in Star Trek Beyond when he got paired up with Chekhov. And they did that like half hour of the two of them trying to roam about and try to figure out the ship. I thought that was quite well done. But other than that, yeah, like he's kind of comedic in the beginning of Star Trek 09, and then they drop that partway through the movie and they just take him seriously, and it's like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, I think they leaned in like too hard into kind of the like oh, Kirk is this like womanizing like kind of charmer, yeah, rascal.
They did,
dude.
yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah, that's an aspect of his character, and that's honestly more of a meme about his character than his actual character.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, he'll take things very seriously, but he's also a pretty lighthearted guy. He's pretty casual. You know what, Dory, what might be a neat episode idea for us sometime is maybe we just take a couple of original series episodes and do them. I don't mean like the whole series or anything like that. That is not worth doing. There are so many bad episodes in the original series.
Yeah, we do one podcast episode after showing you a couple TOS episodes.
Yeah, like we pick, I don't know,
okay.
like 3 or 4 at the most.
Yeah.
And then you could like give us your viewpoint on them. Because the other thing about it, and this is important to keep in mind about the original series, it is very steeped in the writing of 1960 television, and so it's incredibly formulaic in ways that are obvious after 1 or 2 episodes.
It is very 60s, and it is goofy as fuck.
Yes.
Which
so
I
we
think
can pick...
you might enjoy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's at least good for you.
Any 60s sitcoms. I don't remember.
It would be at least good for you to like see it, just kind of as like a Trekkie homework assignment.
And we won't watch the Nazi episode.
No.
Great. Love that. You know what? I was like, what? Have I watched like any like 60s sitcom shows? And the one that popped into my head was the Monkees TV show.
What are you talking about? Shatner was never on that.
I know. I'm just like, of all the frickin' shows, I'm like, I've seen the Monkees. I think I've seen a couple episodes of their show. I think it was just called The Monkees.
Yeah, what's crazy is that I've also seen the Monkees TV show. Which, like, why? I was born in 1989.
I even, like, the theme song is like an absolute banger.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I'll enjoy it. I'm down to watch a few episodes of the original series.
Ooh, we should definitely watch the episode where they go to the 1920s gangster planet.
Yes, for sure.
The entire planet is just like I think we've mentioned this to you before, but there's like a lot of episodes where they just go to a planet that's like, this is like the ancient Rome planet, and like this is like the whatever planet.
I love
So-
it. Big fan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Nazi thing that I mentioned is actually they went to a Nazi planet
Yeah.
Nope.
and had to convince them not to be Nazis.
Yeah.
Good times. Basically, they had to convince them that Nazis were bad,
Yeah.
Oh boy.
which did not
Okay.
take long.
And like
Here's
they-
the thing, though. What did they say to
So,
them
okay,
to be like, you're all monsters, you should all rot, and here's why you need
So
to change?
no, the context of it is actually really stupid. Like I can
Yeah.
spoil it for you because it doesn't really matter. But essentially, this one guy from the Federation goes to the planet for whatever fucking reason, and he's just like, you know what was really efficient? Hitler.
yeah.
And they went
The-
with that like stereotype that the Nazis were actually really like economically advanced, which
Yeah,
is
it's
absolutely
like,
not
oh,
true.
His economic policies
for-
were good though. Like that
I
shit.
I know there's people that still make that argument to this day. It's based on a stereotype of Germans being good with economics.
Yeah.
Hitler actually just borrowed money like a fucking drunken sailor, and they were in so much debt by the end of the war. But anyway, so
yeah.
yeah, so he goes to that planet, and he's like, I'm going to try to unite the planet with the same like way that they did it, except without the hatred. And then other people
That's
brought
kind
the
of
hatred.
the core thing,
It
isn't
is.
it?
Well, that's
How
the
do
point.
you-
People
Yeah.
brought the hatred anyway.
Because,
it,
like,
it
the-
happened anyway.
Yeah, the point of the episode is like, so there's a guy from Earth who's like a philosopher or whatever, and he's like, listen, I think fascism is actually pretty cool if you can do it in like a what's the word, banal or
Benign.
benign way. It's like I think we can do benign fascism.
Yup.
So he starts a Nazi planet where he's like, I'm gonna be Nazis, but like not hateful, which like that's the main thing. So how can you do that?
Yeah.
That's the fundamental bit of
Yeah.
the...
I mean that's kind of the point of the episode is that it ends. That's what he was trying to do, but it ends up that like the hatefulness takes over anyway because fascism sucks.
Yes. Also, let's be fair, this was the 1960s. The average person, especially people who were writing for Hollywood, were not nearly as learned about what had gone on in the Second World War. They had lived through it. They had seen all the news reports and whatnot, but they weren't scholars about it.
Yeah.
So they knew, like, the American propaganda side about the war rather than just how everything went down. And so, of course, there's all this shit about, good economic policies and stuff like that. And it really is just a lot of ignorance. But you have to keep in mind, like, the guy at the head of the series, he was in the Second World War. Spock was Jewish. Like, these are people who were not going into this thinking, like, we're making good of fascism. They were fully in there to say this is bad.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch it, but I think the point of the episode is that like,
It bad.
yeah,
It is.
it bad. It's like
is.
like people think like, oh, but their economic policies and I think the episode is trying to show those people that it's like, no, you can't have it. You can't have like it's all bad.
Can't have your
Yeah.
Nazi cake and eat it too.
But
Yeah.
you do get to hear Shatner continually say Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
It's really
Also-
amusing.
The reason I remember, well, obviously I remember that episode because it's the Nazi episode, but the other reason is because Kirk and Spock are shirtless in that episode.
Yes, they are. And actually, they're getting flogged in that episode.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Because they get taken.
Spock doesn't
they
feel
get
it.
imprisoned. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy. That's
Yeah.
But yeah, we won't do that episode. I think what we should probably do is one, like, considered a really good episode.
Oh,
One,
we have to do a mock time. Like.
Oh
100%.
yeah, for sure. One really goofy episode and
Yeah.
a mock time.
Yes.
okay.
So maybe like the Gangster Planet episode, City on the Edge of Forever, and a mock time. Those
Oh
are
yeah,
good
City on the
options.
Edge of Forever. Yeah, we have to do
Yeah,
that one.
or maybe like Balance of Terror is a real good one too. So I don't
Which
know.
one's that one again?
That's the Romulan one that had Sarek
yeah.
playing a Romulan.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, it's basically the whole episode is essentially just a submarine battle.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Submarines.
I mean, it's not
What a
actual
topical
submarines.
subject.
They're taking these two ships and they're treating it like a submarine battle. Like that's how it's being written.
Yeah.
Party.
I mean, that's the thing about the original Star Trek. There's a lot of like war
Spock
allegory
has like
in it.
weird finger sex with the Romulan lady.
Oh no, that was a different Romulan episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they didn't actually meet the Romulans face to face on in this episode. It was the one where they find the cloaked ship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's all about like honor between the two captains and all that, and it's really well paced and like very very good episode. It's just we'll decide. We'll decide.
The
what,
problem
what
is
would
like
be
I also wanted like you should show her like the Abraham Lincoln episode. Like,
Oh
that
god, that one's so hard to watch
yeah.
because it's so garbage.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll watch a
We'll
few different
figure it out.
ones.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we can figure it out.
There's a couple episodes that are like an absolute must.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, we can figure it out at a later date.
Yeah.
I guess this has been TOS Corner.
Yes,
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy
For
our
season 5
TNG
retrospective.
our TNG podcast right now, which is definitely 100% about TNG.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to your category story.
Okay. So, okay. To start, okay. Let's go with costume. We're going to go with costume. That's my first category. So,
Okay.
favorite costume of the season. I actually have a lot. Okay. Number 1. Mm-hmm. This is I think this is the introduction to sport mode.
Yeah.
Yep,
In-
the
in
Picard jacket.
Darmok.
That's right.
Yeah.
In Darmok. So, favorite costume of the whole season has got to be sport mode.
Well, you'll see it quite a bit more.
I love sport mode, and it's changed things. This show is the show is before sport mode and after sport mode. That's the eras. Okay, so this isn't so much costume as accessory, but Ro, her single dangly earring.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you'll
Love
get to
that.
see more of those in DS9.
I love the Bajoran earrings.
Yep, it's great. Picard and Data dressed up as Romulans in Unification Part 1. That was upsetting.
Yeah.
Rose taupe dress in Conundrum.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, that dress was so good.
All
Worf's
to seduce Riker.
Listen, more power to her.
She didn't need that to seduce Riker.
She didn't. She's so hot. But
Yeah.
like that taupe dress was great. I also really liked Worf's striped pajamas in Ethics, where
Oh,
we see him
yeah.
wearing them at the end when Alexander helps him in physiotherapy. I love it.
Worf
and also
was briefly
speaking,
the boy in striped pajamas.
no, that's bad.
Oh no.
No, that's bad.
Also,
no,
I didn't realize how like because I never actually read that book or seen the movie or whatever. I didn't
it's bad.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yes.
didn't realize that it was like actually like really fucked up, like in
It's
a bad way.
Yes,
It's like-
it is very, very false, not true.
Yeah.
Stuff that could it's
And
very
it
bad.
like and it from my understanding it like centers the feelings of like a Hitler youth child or whatever. Like it's just
Yeah, it's bad. It's
Yeah.
very bad. We
There-
no.
yeah.
These are Worf's own striped pajamas.
Yeah.
Just Worf's striped pajamas.
If you want to watch like a Holocaust thing, watch a Beautiful Life or whatever it is. That's what the movie's
What a way
called.
to just no, I know that, but the way you're like, watch what a Beautiful Life or whatever it is.
If you want to watch a
Well,
Holocaust thing.
I could remember like what the exact name of the movie was.
No, it is. I think it is a Beautiful Life.
Yeah.
But it's such a funny way to say it, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so costumes. Dr. C's pink pajama suit with her little ribbon in her hair and cause and effect.
Yeah.
Love that. I like Luxana's white wig and silver dress combo and the cost of wigging, cost of living. Well, I don't think it's necessarily no, it is a wig. I liked her with the white hair. It looked really good. Silver dress
Yeah.
was great. Next is Kamala's first dress in The Perfect Mate.
Oh man.
When we meet
Oh,
her
yeah.
for like so much of the episode, she looks incredible. I mean, her wedding
Yeah.
dress was also really nice, but that first dress,
Yeah, with
kiss
like
is great.
the like little peak of side boob and stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next is Elaine's outfits in The Inner Light. Could say a lot about Elaine, but those outfits were actually pretty cute.
Yeah.
Liked the outfits. She had some good looks. And my last favorite costume of the season is Data's poker winnings outfit in Time's Arrow Part 1 when he's got the hat and the vest over his uniform.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. That was a good time.
I love I really like Hugh. The Borg ensemble I thought was really good.
Oh,
Like
yes, Hugh.
whenever I think of a Borg, like that image is what comes up in my mind. And I love every Picard low V.
Oh, yes. Next category is the times the AV Club could have stepped in. The first time was literally any time during the game.
Yeah.
Like, hello?
Yeah, that was this season. Fuck.
Yeah. Like, hello? You got, like, they're watching, and they are just letting this happen. Hello, Club? What? But then here's the thing though, they did come through in the first duty when they showed up with the security footage of the ship formation. It wasn't the Enterprise's AV Club, but it was somebody else's AV Club. And
Yeah,
I
that was
It
Tracy
was
appreciate
Academy's
an
AV
AV club.
yes, I just appreciate an AV Club that can step up for the occasion.
Yeah.
Unlike some AV clubs we know who do jack shit and let
Hint.
things happen. Yeah. Do you guys have any instances of when the AV Club could have done something?
Not that I can think of, to be honest.
Did you notice there were no cues this season?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Oh, wild. No, I didn't notice that.
This is the only season with no cues, and that is the only spoiler you get.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing him next season. Man, can that okay, we've talked about this briefly before, or not briefly, I don't know, we've talked about this before, but like that in of itself, how I started off, I hated Q, and now I'm like, ooh, Q next season. Good.
Yeah. I don't, like, talk about character development.
Yeah, seriously. Okay, so next category is well, this is like the term favorite. This is a category I always use, but the word favorite is not really
Yeah.
the right term for it, but it's like that made me want to scream moments. So things that were frustrating / heartbreaking. First one is that we find out that Sela is Yar's daughter in Redemption Part 2.
Yeah.
I hated that. That was terrible. Other one is when Timothy, the child, thought that he killed everyone in hero worship.
Yeah.
I will mention there is other stuff, but I purposefully didn't include it because I didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
The Eugenics Society in general and the Masterpiece Society.
Oh, yes.
Keiko being traumatized by Data O'Troyan and Power Play. That was very terrible. Soren's whole speech about her identity in The Outcast, and then she still gets punished.
Yeah.
It's like, the fuck? And then Picard's makeup and wigs in The Inner Light.
Yeah.
And Mark Twain.
Yeah, Mark Twain's a big one. But mine is the fucking guy from A Matter of Time.
Oh, that piece of shit
Oh,
who
yes.
lied about where he's
Fuck.
from.
Yeah.
I hated that guy.
That one's
And-
so frustrating because I like that actor. I just can't
Yeah.
fucking stand him in that episode.
Yeah,
And
it was
then
terrible.
in the next phase, that one part where it's like Ro touches the panel and they do a close up on it, even though we've established that they pass through things. Yeah. It's like it's not
That was
just
pretty infuriating.
because listen, a continuity error is like whatever, okay? But that was a purposeful shot. It was a close up of her touching the panel, and I'm like, what the fuck?
It's like how in the Ant-Man movies they go out of their way to establish how the whole Ant-Man thing works. How apparently it makes him super small, but his mass doesn't change, which is why he can punch things. and he still has like the same strength. But then they're like 20 minutes later, they're walking around with a briefcase full of cars that they've miniaturized, and I'm like, I'm sorry, aren't you carrying like 16 tons of vehicles?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Don't establish your science if you're gonna break it in the same shot.
Yeah. Oh, God. Also, that fucking the society from the Inner Light gaslighting Picard the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Oh,
super
yeah.
frustrating.
That was messed. That was fucked.
It's like, you didn't have to do it that way. You could have just wiped his memory. Or
Yeah,
like,
but that would have made an uninteresting story.
Yeah, I guess.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, next category. Favorite character we only see in one episode. Of course, Captain Dathan from Darmok.
Of course,
yeah.
yes.
He was great.
Yeah.
He was great. Big fan. Enjoyed him immensely. And might be one of my favorites. The winners of the primary school science fair in Disaster, who is Marissa, Jay Gordon, and Patterson, aka Marissa, the normal person, the other one who's Radishes, and then the kid who's gonna kill everybody one day or
The
something.
fucking serial killer.
Yep. Love those kids were great.
Yeah.
They were a good time. Next is Ashley Judd / Robin Leffler. I think she's in 2 episodes, but listen, I'll allow it.
She's
in a couple.
like the background of one other episode, and I think she has like a very minor part of dialogue in it, but that's it. So it doesn't.
So that's
really
why I'm
count
allowing
much.
it, because she's mostly focused in 1 episode, so that's why I'm allowing her in this. Because Robin was great, she was fun. This was okay. This is like very, very, we'll say niche, but I had to really go through my notes for this because I couldn't remember this guy's name, but I thought he needed a shout out. Klim Dokachin, I don't know if I've pronounced it, but he's the quartermaster of the Surplus Depot in Unification Part 1.
Yeah.
I remember
the
you
guy.
really liking that guy.
Yeah, because he's like, come back later. You don't have an appointment or whatever. And then he'll talk to Troy.
Yeah, he's like, they thought a pretty woman would like make me more amenable. And
He's
they're
like,
probably
and they were
right.
Yeah, I enjoyed him. He was really great.
Yeah.
The next character, actually, I don't think she has a name, but I called her Wife of Dead Smuggler. She was the musician in the bar that Riker goes to. She's got 4 arms,
yeah.
can
that's
play
right.
all
Yeah.
the blues, and she has a salt-sucking addiction in
Yeah.
Unification Part 2. And Riker goes and flirts with her, and I loved it. She
Yeah.
was great.
And then Worf gets her to play Klingon opera.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I
And
forgot that
I
they
love
went
her.
to the fucking cantina on Tatooine.
Yep. Yep. Next is Nicholas Locarno in First Duty. That kid made an
Really?
impression.
Yeah.
I found, like, he's not, like, the best guy, but I thought he was, like, an interesting character, and
Yeah.
he stuck with me after.
Yeah.
Okay, well, bad news. He's not a one-off character.
Yeah, but he's on a different series as technically a different character.
Yeah. I know that bit. So, like,
Yeah.
that's why I say I've only seen Nick Locarno.
Yeah,
in
it's
this.
true. Like,
But
I don't like the character, but like,
He's interesting because in the decisions he ends up making, because, like, to me, if he didn't, like, because he basically, like, takes all the blame in the end.
Yeah.
He takes all the responsibility so nobody else gets in trouble. And to me, that was kind of defining thing for, like, about him for me, of why he's not a complete dirtbag, why there is substance to him, because he could have just, like, not said anything and had them all share. But then he's like, no, yeah, like, we fucked up, but, like, I'm not gonna let, like, this shit, like, affect everyone, not affect everyone, because, like, I mean, Wes still gets,
yeah.
they all get stuff, but, like,
But I'm gonna take the brunt of it.
Yeah.
You know
He's
what
like,
I
I'm-
really appreciate about that, actually, is the fact that he doesn't get an on-screen goodbye after doing it. It's just kind
No.
of like he gets no congratulation because it wasn't for the congratulation. It was because he cared.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something that was, like, very unique about his character, because, like, in fiction and in real life, a lot of people that, like, sort of preach this, like, come on, like in that sort of situation that they were in, and it's like, we got to do what's best for the group, like, let's not get in trouble, and let's, like, sort of like that, are not, they don't actually believe that, they just don't want to get in trouble, right?
That's right, yeah.
And I believe that Nick believed it.
Yeah, but that, and he lives up to it by, like, the group doesn't want to go through with the plan of the cover-up, and he's like, you know what, like, if that's what the group wants, then I will go along with it, and as the leader, I will take responsibility because I'm the leader, right? So that's, like, not, like, that's not typical for that kind of character, so I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, so he's not, like, my favorite, like, I love him. I just thought that he's a really interesting character, and he made an impression on me.
Yeah.
That last, like, the ending decision really, like, stuck with me. It made all the difference.
Yeah, they did a good job with that character.
Yes.
Yeah.
And him and Wesley totally should have kissed.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Because they have that, like, one, like, whispered conversation, and I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Are they gonna make out right now?
Well, it was, I think, when, like, he's like, Dr. C, he's like, Mom, you gotta leave. And then, like, Nick's, like, there, and I'm like, oh, do you want her to leave because you guys gonna, like, kiss?
Yeah, bow chicka bow wow.
Kiss?
But they don't.
No.
Listen, there's time. Okay, so then the next one, Clara and Isabella in Imaginary Friends.
Oh, yeah.
Imaginary Friend. They were great. Isabella was terrifying as fuck. Clara, that little girl, did so fucking much. I thought she was great.
Yeah.
I will remember those two. They were, like, the episode is not, like, amazing, but those two, I think, did a pretty good job.
Yeah, they did
so
really
I will
well.
give them credit.
One thing
I give them credit.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing, like, as we talk about it, is that in general, TNG has found some really good child actors. Or at least, like, child actors that are, like, you know, good
Appear
at what...
once in an episode?
Yeah.
Alexander.
Yeah, like, they're good at what they're being asked to do.
No,
and it's
Alexander's fine.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Like, that actor's
He's
not that
fine.
great,
He's a little
but,
boy.
like,
He's a little boy.
Here's the thing, is, like, it's... Because it's Alexander, and he's, like, a recurring character, it stands out more that he's, like, not exactly the best. But if you look at it, like, the overall, like, child characters that have come up in TNG, the actors have been pretty solid, like, on average.
Oh, like, Tim was good. That kid whose, like, mom died and then he was seeing ghosts, that kid was good. I can't remember what his name is. But
the kid who was,
from
like,
another season.
Riker's fake son.
Oh, yeah, Riker's fake son, yes. Yeah, there's been some, like, decent kid one-offs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my last favorite character, I've only seen one episode, Hugh.
Yeah.
Yes,
from Iborg.
thank you.
Hugh was great. Yep. Liked Hugh a lot.
Yeah. You know, like, that's almost every one-off character this season.
What?
Wow, yeah.
No, there's a lot more.
There's a lot more, yeah, but it's, like, it's pretty
These are,
good,
like, the good ones.
Yeah. I like the kid from Hero Worship. I thought he did a good job.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know
didn't
if
have
I like
Tim on my list, but,
Yeah.
like, I thought he was good, though.
I don't, because I'm trying to think. I don't know if I, like that character a lot, or it's just because I like that episode a lot.
Wait, who, Tim or Hugh?
The kid from Hero Worship. I forget what his name is.
Oh, Tim.
Oh, Tim, yeah.
I think he was good. I think, like, his Data impression was pretty fucking solid.
Yeah, that was very funny.
All right, my next category is favorite episode. I think we're probably gonna differ here.
Yeah. That's fine.
My favorite episodes of this season were Disaster, Cause and Effect,
Yeah, I
and
love that
The
one.
Next Phase.
Yeah. Those are all ones I really like, too.
Yeah,
I
Cause and
knew-
Effect is regularly one that I show to people if they've never seen TNG before, because I think it's a really good example of what, like, a typical but well done TNG episode is.
Mm-hmm. I knew you'd like Disaster. Like, I knew you'd like it. My favorites this season, Darmok. Hero Worship is one of my favorite episodes of, like, the whole series. Cause and Effect, obviously. And I really like The Next Phase as well.
For me, it's every time that Samuel Clemens is on screen. Thank you very much. I make no apologies.
We'll do favorite moments. And then I'll end with favorite lines. So favorite moments. Worf helping Kiko give birth in Disaster.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That there were so many good exchanges between Worf and Keiko.
Yeah.
You may now give birth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, like, go. It's like, that's not what happened in the simulation. Was it like he says something funny? Was it like I remember he's just bearing down.
Yeah.
You must push and just push hard. That was great. It was all the scenes with Worf and Keiko in Disaster were great.
Yeah.
Next is Wes tells Picard that he met Boothby, but Boothby doesn't remember him, and Picard is devastated for one whole second.
Yeah.
Till Wes is like, just kidding. Of course he remembers you in the game. I love Data and Picard as roommates in Unification Part 1.
Yes, yeah. My favorite is when he's like stop staring at me, and then Data he turns around, but he doesn't turn his head with him, so he's like keeps staring at him until the last possible second.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I loved Tim's Data impression when he's trying to Data's trying to brush Tim's hair in Hero Worship, and he just keeps moving his head, and Data's like, Jesus fucking Christ, stop moving.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I loved when Riker has to face, he goes into 10 forward, and he comes face to face with both Troy and Ro in Conundrum,
yeah.
and he has to face to his consequences, and they're like, and he's like, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I liked, oh God, when Hugh didn't want to force Geordi to assimilate because he's his friend in Iborg. I mean, I really like the conversation Picard had with Hugh when he's trying to when he's in Locutus mode. But then Hugh's like, no, I don't want to force Geordi to assimilate because his friend. I was like, oh gosh, that's so cute. I loved Ro wanting to know what Riker wrote in his speech in the next phase. I mean, I want to know too. And then, because also at that in that episode, Riker plays the bone again. And then I really loved Data in the 19th century in the Time's Arrow.
Yes, yeah.
Part 1? Yeah.
Yeah, you got that correct.
Yeah, I really liked Data in the... Yeah, he was funny. I liked his interactions with Jack and his costume change and his just strength stuff. Data was just real fun in the 19th century, minus the Mark Twain stuff.
Yeah.
Also him talking to Guinan was funny. He's like, hey, from when we served on the ship in space, and she's like, yes. Okay, yes. Yeah. So and those are, I guess, my favorite moments.
I really like in the first episode, Redemption Part 2, when Data has the command of his own ship, and that guy's like, I request a transfer because I don't think an android can be a good captain and stuff. And Data's like, I understand. Request denied. There's lots of different good moments throughout the season.
Yeah, because my favorite lines are different than my favorite moments.
I don't know why, but in Newground, when Riker is helping Worf rescue Alexander and stuff, and he has to rescue those weird alien animal things too. When he comes out holding the really cheesy puppets, I just think that's really funny. Yeah.
Those puppets are amazing. Also, the fact that one of them is, for some reason, a toy for a Ferengi, if you have the Ferengi toy from DS9. Oh, I think it's specifically the Quark toy. Yeah. It comes with one of those as an accessory. And I'm like, why? Quark never had one of these.
I guess, should I move on to my last category then?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, you know what? Before I say... No, you know what? I'll do this category, and then I'll do my honorable mentions after. Okay, so favorite lines. So in Unification Part 2, the dead smuggler's wife goes, "So who are you looking for?" And Riker goes, "Who says I'm looking for anybody?" And then the wife goes, your face, your uniform in a place like this." And then Riker goes, "Okay, I'm looking for you." And then she goes, "Oh, you made my day." I like that exchange a lot.
Yeah.
And then, I like Alexander saying to Worf, "You care more about your honor than me," in New Ground.
Yeah. Worf is trying so hard not to say yes.
Yeah. And then in The Perfect Mate, Kamala goes, "My empathic powers can only sense a man of deep passion and conviction. So controlled, so disciplined. I'm simply curious to know what lies beneath." And then Picard goes, "Nothing lies beneath. I'm really quite dull. I fall asleep each night with an old book in my hands."
It's like, I'm boring. I'm very...
Yeah.
Nothing here.
Yeah.
Nothing here. Stop trying to sleep with me.
And then in the next phase, Geordi goes, "But my uniform, my visor. Are you saying I'm some blind ghost with clothes?"
Yeah.
And then Ro goes, "I don't have all the answers. I've never been dead before."
Oh, that reminds me. That's another thing that frustrated me is in the Perfect Mate, where she keeps hitting on Picard despite him saying no thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, that was very frustrating to me.
Yeah. And then I guess my last favorite line is in the next phase, Data says, "I never knew what a friend was until I met Geordi. He spoke to me as though I were human. He treated me no differently from anyone else. He accepted me for what I am. And that I learned is friendship. But I do not know how to say goodbye." It's like, oh, Data. Oh. Which is funny because like an episode or two later, Troy and Riker and Data's interpretation of friendship is getting used to people. But Data like really nicely describes friendship here. I'm like, okay. Yeah, so those are my favorite lines.
Yeah. There's none that I can like straight up think of. There's a bunch of lines that like Timothy says when he's in imitating Data that are funny. Mm-hmm. I think I just like all of that.
There's a bunch of good ones. Honestly, there was like a bunch that were like longer exchanges, but I didn't want to write it all down.
Yeah,
because I type up my best of like TNG category notes, and so it's like I'm not typing up everything I've already written down. So
Yeah,
I was like,
fair enough.
It's fine. I've talked about this exchange in another episode. It's okay. Should I move on to my last category, which is honorable mentions?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Picard gets attacked by Predator in Darmok.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It is kind of what it looked like.
Predator. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we unintentionally prepared you for that episode.
Yeah.
Giving you the words to describe the monster.
Yeah, I would not have known. I don't know what I referred that monster as, but now that I've seen Predator, it's Predator. Geordi went in I think the first episode, like in Ensign Ro, Geordi said that Ro shouldn't be in the uniform, and then by the next phase they're bros. And I like that.
Yeah.
I like in the first duty at the end of the episode, Wes is like, "I let everyone down," and Picard is like, "Yes, and you will pay for all that you've done. Also, everyone on campus knows what's happened, so that's gonna be awkward."
Oof.
It's like,
so harsh,
Picard.
bro.
Yeah. Picard hates Wesley so much. It's amazing. Poor Wes. I liked another honorable mention, Worf popping the terrifying balloon head in The Cost of Living.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I hate those. Everything to do with, like, that creepy other world, the holodeck stuff.
Yeah.
That Oksana takes Alexander to. But I liked when Worf popped the terrifying balloon head.
They basically walk into, like, an, acid-fueled
A fever dream.
Crewville. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked Worf's very brief interaction with Kamala in The Perfect Mate. When Data brings her to 10 forward.
And he, like, growls.
Yeah, I like that. That was funny. I wrote Riker playing the bone at Geordi and Rose Memorial. The next phase. Oh, I liked Picard bonding with his daughter in the inner light.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
And Picard and his stupid ass recorder in the inner light. I liked that. It was very silly. Oh God, you know what I should have written down? But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna add to this list. Picard with the children in the turbo lift. Well, they were singing fucking Frere Jacques or something.
Yeah.
Because of course they were.
Yeah, climbing up.
Yeah.
Honestly, everything to do with that was very funny. Just Picard and the children. And I liked Geordi and Data's talk about Data dying.
Yeah.
And I've realized that every time I mean to reference Time's Arrow Part 1, I accidentally wrote the next phase.
Oh, yeah. Because they do kind of deal with
Arrow.
death, and yeah.
I don't know. I think I just copied and pasted the wrong title. But yeah, from Time's Arrow.
Oh.
Yeah, because Data's like, I guess I die. I don't live forever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It was a nice conversation. I really enjoyed Geordi and Data's friendship. It's very cute.
Oh, I remembered one of my favorite lines, which is from Disaster, and it's when Picard's asking the kids, like, what their science project was. And, like, the weird kid is like, I grew radishes in the special dirt, and they came up all weird. Like, just the way the kid delivers the line, I can listen to over and over again. I love it.
Yeah. Those kids were so funny.
Yeah.
They were great.
I want to give a special shout out to the directing in Cause and Effect, which was Jonathan Frakes, by the way.
Ooh.
Yeah, because it's a time loop episode, and he shot each loop very differently to give you a different feel, and so that it's not boring to like watch over and over. And I think he did an amazing job with it, and the lighting too I thought was really good. Yeah, I just thought it was a really well directed and edited episode.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I think it might be my favorite episode of the season.
Yeah, it is. It's just like you just want to watch a nice, fun episode, like put on Cause and Effect.
Yeah, it's got the team working together, and I love that. I love a team episode.
Yeah, and it's actually like kind of a satisfying conclusion, which is like not something you get often in like mystery episodes.
Yeah, except for Kelsey Grammer's part.
Yeah.
Sucks to be that crew. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Ooh. Stuck in a time loop for like, what was it, like 100 years or whatever? 80 years, something like that.
Ugh. Yeah, that sucks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are all my categories.
All right, so let's go through the predictions of this season. So we're going to start off with the season premiere, Redemption Part 2. We basically, like, for the two-parters, we don't really give you a description. We just say what's going to happen next. So you said it'll come close between Duras and Gowron. And you think that Worf doesn't immediately go back to Starfleet and visits his parents in Alexander. And you think that Sela will turn out to be a clone.
I wish I was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been an improvement.
Unfortunately, we find out that Sela is alternate universe, alternate timeline, Tasha's daughter. And it's a very bad situation, how it comes about. So yeah, Worf just does go immediately back to Starfleet. So the episode after that was called Darmok. And we told you that the ship is meeting with aliens whose language is indecipherable. We got distracted trying to come up with a baseball analogy. And you called
that's
Aaron
logical.
And you called Aaron Judge, one of the greatest baseball players of this generation, some guy. And you raved about your big cup.
Oh yes, I love my big cup.
Yeah, that you got at the Jays game.
Listen, it's almost my 1-year anniversary with that cup. Next month.
So what you said is that like a meteor is going to hit a planet and that they have to go warn them about the meteor, but like they can't communicate and shenanigans happen. What actually happens is these aliens just kind of call up the Enterprise and want to talk, and then the captain kidnaps Picard down onto a planet with Predator to try to get through to him. And then eventually you figure out that they talk in metaphors. Or in
Classic.
cultural
in
memes.
memes.
Yeah. The episode after that was called Ensign Ro. We told you that we meet a new crew member, and that Ro is enlisted to hunt Bajoran terrorists, but is a Bajoran herself. What you guessed is that they track down the terrorist, and then they try to turn Ro to their side, because, like, hey, we're Bajoran, you're Bajoran, you should be on our side. You weren't very enthusiastic about that potential. And that there would be a lot of distrust on the ship because she's also Bajoran, kind of like, racism thing of, like, they don't trust her because she's Bajoran, and that the goal of the terrorists was that they want power. What actually happens is that it turns out Ro did something that had gotten her whole team killed, and she was in prison, and she was kind of blackmailed by this officer to help him, like, essentially blame Bajoran terrorists for, like, this deal he's running with the Cardassians, I believe. And that turns out the Bajoran terrorists don't want, or, like, they had nothing to do with the attacks, and that their goal was actually pretty reasonable, because they just wanted to get out from Cardassian rule, because they were being oppressed and subjugated, and all that stuff. Yeah, and you ended up really enjoying, liking Ensign Ro.
I do, yes.
Yeah. Next episode after that was Silicon Avatar. We told you that the Enterprise is helping colonize a planet, and that one of the scientists is a survivor of the attack on Data's home planet, and that she knows who Lore is, and that we see the return of the crystalline entity. You said of the title that it sounds like a polite term for a sex doll. Silicon Avatar. You said that she'll think Data is Lore and is faking, and is like he'll be like, no, I'm not Lore, and she's like I don't believe you, you're Lore, and that you think the crystalline entity is, like, specifically following that lady. She's like a bad luck charm or something. You were kind of right in that she doesn't think Data is Lore, but she thinks he's like Lore. Like, she does not trust Data, and that sort of thing. She eventually does gain a trust for Data, because it turns out that Data has some of her dead son's memories. Not memories, per se, but... Actually,
sort
do
of.
they have...
experiences with him, kind of.
Yeah, and has a lot of data, like all his journals and all that stuff.
Data has a lot of data.
Yeah. And the lady is kind of, like, really revenge-obsessed and all that stuff. It ends up killing the crystalline entity, like, when, just after finding out that we could potentially talk to it and that kind of thing. We had, like, a really big discussion that episode about whether it was right or not to kill the thing. After that, it was the episode Disaster, which is a fun one. We told you that a disaster befalls the ship, and different combinations of people get trapped in different parts of the ship. So your guesses for the combos were Picard and Dr. C, Geordi and Troy, Worf and Data, and then Riker and Guinan. You kind of went back and forth on some combos, but, like, that's what you settled on.
I was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, you were wrong. This exchange was funny. I wrote it down. You said, it's like Clue. And then Jeff said, maybe the crime is the writing. And you responded, the crime is always the writing.
Accurate. To this day.
Yeah, so you predicted Riker and Guinan in 10 forward, Worf and Data in Data's room to look after Spot, Geordi and Troy in a transporter room or a shuttle bay, and Picard and Crusher on the bridge.
Yo, I was right about Geordi was in a shuttle bay.
Yeah. So, your plot of the episode was like that the power goes out, the ship goes through like a magnetic field and causes, whoa!
Was I wrong?
Yeah, and they're stuck and they have to wait it out. I mean, I don't remember exactly what happens, but basically, yeah, some space bullshit happens, the power goes out, and they all have to figure out...
They do go, whoa!
Yeah. So I think the pairs were, it was Troy, Ro, and
Geordi.
O'Brien on the bridge.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It was Riker and Data, who start out in 10 forward and then have to go to engineering. Worf and Keiko in 10 forward. Worf have to...
Best pairing, somehow.
And Worf has to help Keiko give birth. And it was Dr. C and Geordi in the shuttle bay. And they had to dump all those radioactive barrels.
Love it.
Picard in the turbo lift with the 3 kids.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Some groups were going more whoa than others, and it was definitely Picard's group that was going whoa more than others.
Yeah, because they get stuck in the turbo lift, and then like the turbo lift, they have to get out before the turbo lift like falls forever or whatever. The episode after that was, I'm sorry, but you've all once again lost the game. So it was the game, and we told you that Wesley's visiting from the academy, but that people start acting weird. You got very excited for Wes coming back. You at first joked about that, like, oh, did Picard pay everyone to, like, ignore Wesley? You said that they have a welcome back lunch, and that there's one dish that everyone eats except Wes, and everyone goes weird from personality food poisoning.
Personality food poisoning.
Yeah. So what actually happens is that Wes comes back and flirts with Ashley Judd. And everyone's obsessed with, like, this game that Riker brings back that, like, makes you orgasm, basically. And, it was a plot by some aliens
It's
to try to take over
essentially
the
World of
Enterprise.
Warcraft meets Candy Crush.
Yeah. You have to get a disc in, like, a wormhole thing. It's weird. So, yeah, Wes has a little romance with Ashley Judd, and they eventually save the Enterprise from the game. After that is Unification 1. Not Part 1, just Unification 1. I told you that Picard and Data go on an adventure together with Spock. And then I had to correct myself that Picard and Data are looking for Spock. They're not with Spock. You said, who is Bok? Because you misheard.
That's like, pretty silly, because we all know that Bok is the Ferengi from that episode way back
right.
in Season 1. Damon
you
Bok.
said you theorized that unification is what they call it when a planet becomes part of the Federation, and that
that's
Spock
a
is
little colonizing
opposed.
of you.
Yeah, but Spock is opposed to this one planet that's like about to join, and he goes rogue, and that Picard and Data have to go find him. So it's not quite that. Spock does go rogue. But he goes rogue to Romulus, and Picard and Data are sent to Romulus to be like, what the fuck? Did Spock turn traitor? Like, what is happening? You know, and that's sort of the plot of the episode. I remember we discussed it. It's nothing much happens in the episode, because it's just, the whole episode is them getting to Romulus, basically.
Oh, wait, but isn't that the one where Sarek dies?
Yes, actually, he dies off screen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is the episode where Picard inserts himself into somebody else's family drama.
Yeah.
Picard, it's not about you.
Yeah.
It is this time.
The episode ends with them finding Spock. Like, literally, the last second of the episode is Spock being like, hey, and then it ends. So for Unification 2, we ask you, like, you know, what do you think is going to happen from here? You said that maybe the Romulans are, like, planning an attack, and he goes to his Romulan senator buddy to, like, try to come up with a plan to, like, convince the Romulans, like, not to go through their plan. And that there was this whole side plot of, like, equipment going missing, and you said you thought that the Romulans were probably, like, taking the equipment and stuff. Which I think turned out to be correct.
Yes, they were.
And
So
the side plot was more interesting
yeah,
to me.
yeah. Because we get those two side characters you love, which is the guy who runs, like, the junkyard, and then
the quartermaster.
yeah, and then the woman in the bar who's, like, playing
Yes.
the weird space organ or whatever.
With her forearms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it? With her forearms?
So what actually happens is that Spock is sort of part of an underground movement in Romulus that wants to reunite the Romulan and Vulcan people, because they were once like sort of one people, and then they split off. And it kind of turned out that Spock got, like, double-crossed, and that they were going to kidnap Spock and use him for pro-Romulan propaganda and things like that. Because Sela had to be involved for some reason. She shows up. And the episode was actually, like... I remember us not being too impressed by it. Just being like...
Yeah, because the whole Sela thing was kind of, like, out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was out of nowhere. The B-plot took up a lot of time. And it was like... Yeah, it was one of those episodes that was, like, significant at the time it came out. But, like, watching it back, it's like, eh. Like, who cares?
Hasn't aged well.
Yeah. So after that, the next episode was A Matter of Time. And then we told you, that while the ship is dealing with an environmental disaster, they get a visitor from the future. You said that the time traveler tries to stop the ship from doing whatever they're doing on the planet because it's going to turn out bad, and it'll affect the future. What actually happens is that it turns out that guy isn't from the future, he's from the past and has been lying the whole time. He goes around being fucking annoying on the ship, pretending he's from the future. Then it turns out he's actually from the past who stole a time traveler's ship to sort of steal inventions and then go back to his time and become rich or whatever. The concept of the episode was fine, but the character was annoying as fuck. After that was New Ground, and we told you that Worf gets a visit from Alexander. You said that
Turns
you
out to
hope
be more
Worf's
than a
parents
visit.
come. Yeah. You said that you hope Worf's parents are there as well, because they're your favorite. Mm-hmm. You said that it would be Alex's birthday, and that Worf gives Alexander, like, a really inappropriate gift, like a weapon or something.
Instead,
and that
all
there
he
would
gave
just
him
be,
was
like...
disappointment.
Yeah, there would be hijinks. So Worf's mom does show up for a little bit at the beginning, saying, like, hey, me and your dad are too old to take care of your son. We're dumping him on you right now. Bye. And then it's just Worf and Alexander having a bad time. Alexander has, like, behavioral issues because his mom has died and he's been abandoned twice. By his father and then his grandparents. Yeah, he's badly written, and Worf doesn't know how to deal with a child, etc., etc.
Oh my gosh. This is Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day.
Yeah, basically. So the episode after that is Hero Worship. We told you that Data rescues a child from disaster. Your first prediction was just that the child hero worships Data and it goes, like, weird and creepy. But then you're like, no, I want wholesome. So you said that Data saves the kid from choking. Like, he gives him the Heimlich. And then the kid gets obsessed with him and makes Data, like, a bunch of art and crafts and shit like that. And it's just wholesome and nice.
But the making stuff part, I mean, he didn't make it for Data, but he made that structure.
Yeah, he did. He didn't make
it wasn't
anything
for Data, but
Yeah,
he still made something.
Yeah, he didn't make anything for Data, but he did build a model and paint a painting with Data.
Yeah. So listen, art was involved.
Yeah.
So
and you got your wish. It was a wholesome episode.
yeah, except Jesus Christ, poor Timothy.
Yeah, he had a lot of trauma.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So what actually happens is that the kid is on a ship where like everyone dies, including his parents, except for him. And he like makes up a story about aliens coming aboard, and like in the process, while he's dealing with his grief, he really attaches himself to Data, and he starts pretending to be like Data. He starts pretending to be an android in sort of a way to like not have to deal with his feelings. Data helps him through that. They eventually find out his story wasn't 100% true. It turns out the kid thought that it was his fault that everyone died, because like the ship started shaking and he accidentally pressed the control panel. So like this whole time he thought he fucking killed everyone, including his parents. Turns out that wasn't the case. It was like some space gravitational bullshit. And he ends up like what he remembers about what happened ends up helping them figure out the problem and not destroy the Enterprise. And he eventually becomes a sad little boy, which is an improvement, I guess. It is an improvement because he's dealing with his emotions and he's processing. The next episode we're skipping. The next episode was Violations. We didn't give you a prediction, we just told you what would happen, because this episode involved SA, and that's all we're going to say about it. It does not exist. Episode after that is the Masterpiece Society. We told you the ship comes to a colony to warn them about impending disaster, and that the society is structured in a very interesting way. At first you were confused because I guess you kind of misheard and you asked if it was like, are the buildings built weirdly? And then no, I clarified that it was like, no, like politically their society is structured weird.
Oh.
Because you lobbed onto the idea of like structure. You said that like this, in your mind you kind of connected Masterpiece to like art and stuff, and that they don't want to evacuate because they need to keep safe all their art and culture that they created and that sort of thing, and that there would be a clash there. So what actually happens is it turns out it's a eugenics society where they're all like bred specifically for one purpose and have a very delicate balance and are like, we terminate fetuses with disabilities and all that like weird stuff. It was not great, and they thought they were so great that it's like, no, we know this like meteor is coming or whatever, but like, our scientists are like perfect and awesome and will be able to withstand it. And it turns out, nope. With them like interacting with the Enterprise crew, they realize like, like we thought we were so high and mighty, but actually we suck. Because there's all these inventions and shit that these people have that we don't. And so one of, sort of their leader falls for Troy. And then this other woman, like, who spends time with Geordi, who kind of has her eyes opened because, like, Geordi is blind and has, like, a fully, like, fulfilling functional life, and that like amazes her because she was kind of taught that like people with disabilities suffer, so like their whole society is like, oh, like we spare them the suffering, and even though that's like total bullshit. And she and a group of other people are like, we're defecting, we're leaving. And it has some sort of, they keep saying that the society will be destroyed if too many people leave, but they never really say how it will be destroyed. Like,
it just will be.
It's just a vague
because
threat.
Something about what do you call it? Eugenics balance or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, they said
that's
like,
basically
we're
the implication.
Yeah, we're in a very delicate, like, balance with our environment and everything on the planet, so if one piece leaves, it'll all collapse, that doesn't...
I think the implication, like, if we're giving them the benefit of the doubt, it might have been that it's like an ecosystem, and you take out, like, a part of the ecosystem, and the ecosystem falls apart, but they really didn't put any effort into explaining it, so why should we give them the benefit of the doubt in the end?
Yeah, it's a very vague threat.
Yeah.
And we didn't care. I didn't care.
No.
Yeah, it sounds like a them problem.
Yeah.
Them.
I think we came to the conclusion that it's like, if your society is that delicate that it can't handle, like, some people leaving, then
you need a better society.
Yeah. Like Dory said, that's a you problem. All right. The next episode after that is called Conundrum. And we told you that the crew have to solve a mystery about themselves. And to give you a little extra help, I told you specifically that everyone forgets who they are. You kind of had two predictions. The first one was that everyone has like a day off and they all go to 10 Forward and they drink this one drink that like gives them memory loss.
Wow. Okay. This season I was very much, this is the second time I've said like, oh, there's like a substance that they eat, they ingest that like changes stuff.
Yeah. You very much favor the crew eat or drink something that like alters them.
I feel like that's more
which does happen in Star Trek.
It does,
you know
but
you're not wrong.
I feel like it's more of a fantasy prediction than a Star
You know
Trek
what it
prediction.
is? I read a lot of fan fiction in my teens and into my 20s.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
are you reading Star Trek fan fiction?
Yeah, Star Trek fan fiction,
Yep.
exactly. And there was always some kind of, food or drink that made people act different.
Were you reading like sex pollen stuff and shit?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Which, for anyone that doesn't know, that's a trope in fan fiction where it's just like there's a pollen in the air that makes you horny.
There's an actual TOS episode in which that's the case.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
Well,
That's the plot of an actual...
20-something me would have loved it.
Yeah.
So, okay, and then the next prediction you said, okay, I have a terrible idea.
Oh, boy.
And you said that, like, they go to the holodeck, and while they're on the holodeck, they go through some bullshit space waves, and they become their characters on the holodeck.
That was a terrible idea.
I think it's a cool idea, if they actually
it happens in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, that's true. I think it happens in, like, a DS9 episode, too.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
sort of.
That one's
in a different
weird.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that one's fun. It's just weird.
Yeah. So what actually happens is that some alien species, like memory raise them so they don't remember who they are. And then there's just some guy hanging out with them who's, like, pretending to be a member of the crew.
He's obviously the bad guy.
Yeah, so the episode is just, like, it's a mystery episode, like, trying to figure out who they are, why they lost their memory, and most importantly, Ro and Riker hook up. Because now that they don't have the baggage of them, like, not liking each other, they're, like, super into each other. And it ends very funnily with Ro and Troy swapping notes about Riker, and Riker just being super embarrassed. The episode after that is Power Play, and we told you that the ship gets a distress signal from a long-lost ship on a dangerous planet. You said that it's going to turn out to be like a trick, that the crew of the ship wants to take over the Enterprise and strand the crew on the planet. Which is pretty much exactly what happens.
Yeah.
The only difference is that there is no crew of the ship. It's like these alien entities that were imprisoned on this planet, and they pretend to be the crew of that old Federation ship.
Oh, this is the Data O'Troyan episode.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And I was like, I do not remember this. Okay, no,
Yeah.
I got it. It's the Data O'Troyan episode.
And the aliens inhabit the bodies of O'Brien, Data, and Troy in order to try to take over the ship. And it's fine. The episode's fine. We get to see O'Brien yell at his wife, which is weird.
Terrible.
Really awkwardly, too. Like, the
Yeah.
way he's delivering his lines in that scene is just real strange.
Yeah. In fairness, it's not him, it's the entity inhabiting his body is being really mean to Keiko. And it's awkward and not pleasant. But we do see the Data inhabiting, or the entity inhabiting Data threaten Worf, and it's very funny.
You,
And then-
Klingon, attack me.
Yeah. The episode was fine. They just try to take over the ship, and then they outsmart them and all that stuff, and leave them imprisoned on the planet forever again.
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
The episode after that is Ethics. We told you that a crew member gets into an accident, and that there's a lot of debate about their treatment and how to move forward. And that made you very uncomfortable, because, like, obviously you don't want to see anyone get hurt. And you kind of summarized it in that you thought it was going to end up being, like, sort of an organ donation situation, where, like, a person would be a match, but they don't necessarily want to donate their organ, and then it was going to be, like, a whole ethical episode about whether you can compel someone to do that, whether you should, like, just because you're a match, whether you should donate, blah, 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 that sort of thing. That's not quite what happens. So what happens is that Worf gets into an accident where some very heavy barrels fall on him and break his spine. And he ends up paralyzed. And then the sort of there's two ethical debates. Worf feels like he can no longer be useful and that this is a great shame, and he wants to commit ritual suicide. So he asks Riker to do it for him, and Riker vehemently does not want to do it. Picard is like, maybe you should, for some reason. And then Riker gets out of it by having to tell Worf, according to the tradition, it has to be your son. So, like, if you really want to do this, you're going to have to ask Alexander to do it. And then the other ethical dilemma is that Dr. C is sort of consulting with this other doctor who wants to do this very dangerous, extremely experimental surgery on Worf that might give him all his mobility back. But, Dr. Crusher thinks it's way too dangerous, but the doctor convinces Worf to do it, and the doctor just sort of generally acts, like, very recklessly and unethically. And, yeah, Dr. C kind of gets to be a badass a little bit, where she's like, you're a disgrace, and all that shit. Because it's TV, the surgery ends up working. Worf gets back his mobility. He still has to do a lot of physio, and, he ends up, not wanting to do the ritual because, he obviously can't look his, like, fucking 8-year-old in the face and ask him to do that. And he's like, we're gonna do this together, and it ends on a really nice moment of Alexander encouraging Worf while he does physio and all that. It was obviously a very heavy episode. The episode after that was called The Outcast. And we told you that Riker falls for a member of an androgynous race while looking for a couple of people that are missing from their community. You said go to a new planet, that there's an environmental disaster, and that Riker and this person kind of fall for each other while they're evacuating people. So what actually happens is that these researchers go missing in space somewhere. The Enterprise is helping them, and while they're doing their sort of combined mission, one of the people of this androgynous race reveals that they actually feel that they have a gender and that their gender is female, and that is a huge taboo in their society, and people basically like get sent to conversion therapy for that in their society, and sort of has a secret romance with Riker. They find the people that escaped, and it turned out they were a couple of these people that like felt that they had a gender and stuff. They tried to run away, but they found them, brought them back, and the episode unfortunately ends on a sort of tragic note that this person gets sent to conversion therapy and like no longer thinks that they're female. The bummer of an episode. It was meant to be an allegory for like sort of the gay experience.
It has not aged well.
It has not aged well. The sort of modern eye obviously sees it more as like sort of a trans allegory, and again it doesn't quite has aged worse on that level. They tried to do something, but it didn't really work out. And given the era, I'm not surprised. I don't have confirmation of this, but from what I heard, the episode got toyed with a lot by other people, and sort of what they wanted to do with the episode like just didn't come to fruition. So,
and Jonathan Frakes thought that the solution they went for was cowardly.
Yeah, exactly. So, just an unfortunate product of its time. They tried to do a good thing, didn't really work out. The episode after that was luckily a fun one. It was called Cause and Effect. I told you that the crew experiences an extreme case of deja vu. And you pretty much got your prediction right on the money. You said that they're stuck in a time loop and trying to figure out who the bad guy is that did a crime.
Yep.
So, there isn't a crime. They got stuck in a time loop because they encountered they crashed into a ship that was going through a temporal anomaly, and so they both kind of got stuck in the loop with each other. But
that said, Dory, there's a Discovery episode you should watch sometime that is basically your prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love when I'm psychic.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you totally clocked onto the fact that it was a time loop and they were trying to solve a mystery. So
Love it.
Yeah.
I love solving a mystery.
Yeah. And I think you said that that was one of your favorite episodes this season.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a very fun, very good episode. Jonathan Frakes directed it, and it's
also very Dr. C heavy, so I love it.
Yes, that's right. She's kind of the main character of the episode, if I remember.
Yeah.
So, the episode after that was called The First Duty, and we all laughed at the word duty. We told you that we pay a visit to Wes at Starfleet Academy, under bad circumstances, though. You said that you thought that Wes gets framed for something and they have to go and prove his innocence. So, in a little twist, that's kind of what the episode makes you think, sort of, at the beginning. Not that he got framed, but that an accident happens, and, I believe Picard's there to give, a commencement speech. There was an unfortunate accident with, Wes is on, the flight team, who were doing like sort of like aerial tricks and stuff like that. Like, you know, the air show where they get airplanes to like do fancy tricks, but it's spaceships instead. So unfortunately, one of the students dies, and they have an investigation. And yeah, it turns out that Wes actually did fuck up. He wasn't innocent. Him and the team fucked up and got this kid killed because they wanted to do a really dangerous trick that had been banned. They're trying to do like a cover-up, and then Wes is sort of racked by guilt and, you know, wants to come forward, but the leader of the squad is like, no, like, we have to, you know, do what's best for the team, and the team all want to do this and that sort of thing. But Wes ends up coming forward anyway because, you know, there's like, first of all, he's guilty and it's the right thing to do. Plus, there's like very distinct evidence that the story they were telling was not true. And true to his word, the captain, the leader of the squad, takes full responsibility, and, you know, does what the group wants in a sort of not typical thing for that kind of character. So it was an interesting episode. The episode after that was called The Cost of Living. We told you that the ship prepares for an unexpected wedding while they're also having shit randomly shut down. So you theorize that it might be Geordi or Data getting married. That, like, you know, if it was one of the ladies getting married, there'd be some, like, weird drugs or shit involved. And so you think it's one of the guys that's doing it.
Was I wrong?
Yeah, you're not. You settled on Geordi being the one that is getting unexpectedly married. You kind of had, like, two ways this could go. He said he meets someone, and that she has what boils down to magic mood swings that, like, make him fall in love, like, really fast and, like, want to get married really fast.
Oh, no.
And then you said, or someone is getting married as, like, a distraction so that they can rob the Enterprise. So it turns out to be none of that. Troy's mom shows up, and she says that she's going to have her wedding on the Enterprise, because she basically met this guy through, like, a matchmaking service, and Loxana and Alexander end up having this, like,
horrifying adventure.
Yeah, horrifying adventure, where, like, Alexander's, you know, continuing to have behavioral problems, and, like, Troy's trying to help Worf with that. And, like, Loxana gets in the middle of it, like, sort of almost encouraging Alexander to be, like, you know, mischievous and all that stuff. And it turns out, and the guy comes on board who she's supposed to marry, and he's, like, a total buzzkill. And, like, obviously extremely wrong for Loxana. All this shit happens where she's, like, she, like, bears her soul to an 8-year-old, and she's like, I'm lonely. You know, I just want a man. She ends up finding her confidence again, and is like, no, fuck you. She shows up naked to her own wedding, which is, like, for a Betazoid, not weird, because that's what they're supposed to do, but this guy's, like, fucking horrified. They break up, and then, Loxana, Alexander, Worf, and Troy all end up in the mud bath together at the end. And nothing is resolved. Except that Loxana doesn't marry that guy. The episode after that is called The Perfect Mate. And we said the ship is on its way to bring a gift, who happens to be a female empath whose purpose is to please their mates. Gross. You theorized that the Federation is trying to... There's, like, a strategically important planet that they really want to get into the Federation, and they're like, what do you want? And they're like, a bride, please. And so the Enterprise gives it to them. Luckily, the Enterprise is sort of not fully complicit in this. So it's the Federation is helping out these two warring planets that are making peace with each other, and they were not informed what the gift was that they were bringing to the other people. And they end up rescuing some Ferengi who, like, do hijinks and accidentally, quote-unquote, open the gift, and it turns out it's a lady. And rightfully so, every Picard and everyone is kind of, like, incensed that it's like, you're fucking giving a person to them? That's fucked up. And then it's a very weird situation where, like, this lady is, like, you know, on one hand is being treated as property and, like, as a sex slave, basically. But then also she engages in a lot of sexual harassment of the men on the ship, especially Picard. He says no many times, and she persists. They end up having a relationship together, and it's weird. And was not a fun episode. It's not like as, it's an uncomfortable episode, but it's not like totally gross as like you might expect from the description, but it's still not fun. It's still like, ew. Yeah. Moving on. The next episode was called Imaginary Friend. And I just said, a child's imaginary friend is not all they seem to be. You said, obviously, this imaginary friend is going to be real. That something weird happens, and that the kid can't see their imaginary friend anymore, and that their other friends or siblings or something are going to try to, like, make it real. Like, whether they do, like, the 3 kids in a trench coat thing, or they do, like, as quote-unquote holograph styles. Sorry, not holograph styles. Holodeck styles is what you said. What actually happens is that this girl, she has an imaginary friend who's, like, just an imaginary friend. And then an alien entity comes aboard and becomes their imaginary friend and is a creepy creeper who, like, is basically like, come play with us, Danny. The whole episode, it gets the girl in trouble. Then it turns out that they figure out that her friend is actually real and that it's an alien who has sort of misinterpreted the rules that the adults give the children as, like, oppression and stuff like that, and that she views humans as, like, you know, really shitty and stuff like that because they won't let this little girl, like, do whatever she wants. And they sort of end up having a conversation with her being like, no, it's actually totally chill, like, we're doing this for the kids' safety, we're not, like, trying to, like, be mean or whatever, it's just like that they're a child and the ship is dangerous for a child to just be running around unsupervised. And then everything ends up fine. I know that sounds boring, but it actually was not that bad of an episode. The child actors were really good. Mm-hmm. The next episode was called I, Borg. And I just simply said that the ship captures a lone Borg. You said that it's basically going to be an episode of, like, sort of this ethical debate on how to interrogate the Borg and, like, how to get info for him and, like, how to use him and stuff like that. Which is, like, not totally off from what actually happens. So what happens is they find this crash site, they find that, like, the Borg are there, and Dr. C discovers that one of the Borg is still alive, and she's like, you know, my moral and ethics tells me I have to save them, because they're, you know, a living, breathing person. She brings him to this ship to rescue him, and yeah, they kind of have a debate on, like, what they're gonna do. They come up with a plan to sort of, like, genocide the Borg using the Borg they captured, who they end up naming Hugh. And yeah, it just turns into this dilemma of like people interacting with Hugh and realizing that like, oh, he actually has the capacity to not just be like this mindless drone, that this like sort of unfeeling killing entity, that like he can actually be like an individual person who has like thoughts and feelings and stuff. And, you know, sort of Guinan and Picard, you know, really refuse to see it that way. Eventually sort of Guinan interacts with him, and then goes to talk to Picard, being like, man, you have to look this person in the face before you do this. Like, he's not who we think he is. Like, this thing is not what we think it is. And yeah, Picard ends up changing his mind and letting Hugh go. Like, he offers to give Hugh like sort of asylum, that he can stay with them, but Hugh's like, no, that's dangerous, because he developed a friendship with Geordi, and he's like, I don't want to put Geordi in danger or anyone else in danger, so he chooses to go back to the Borg. And sort of Picard hopes that like the individuality they've instilled in him during this time will sort of run through the Borg and help things along. And it was actually quite a nice episode. It was really interesting to see Picard kind of like on the extreme revenge side of things, rather than be like the reasonable one. And it was very cute, Hugh and Geordi's friendship, and sort of the turn that takes. So we're almost at the end here, a few more episodes to go. The next episode is called The Next Phase. And I told you that Geordi and Ro get lost in a transporter malfunction. And you were very excited for that combo. Because you're very excited anytime Ro comes up. And
yes,
I know you like sort of unusual combos, or combos we don't see a lot of people. So you said that they need to install something on a new planet, and that some kind of weather or something goes wrong during transport and sends them to like a way different part of the planet. Which is like a very Star Trek thing to happen. It's not quite what happens in this episode, though. What happens is they encounter a Romulan ship under distress, and they go to help them. And Ro and Geordi, on their way back to the Enterprise, what we find out later in the episode, a Romulan cloaking device that they're working on, interferes with the transport, and Ro and Geordi end up, what they end up calling phased, which is like they're, in essence, ghosts. They're like neither material nor energy. They're kind of just like in between. They can see and hear everything, but no one can see or hear them. They can pass through walls and stuff like that, but not the floor, apparently.
or some walls.
Or some walls, yeah. They can touch a panel, apparently. But nothing else. Yeah, so at first, like, Ro thinks that they're dead. She thinks that they're legitimately ghosts. And Geordi's like, no, I'm no blind ghost with clothes. So yeah, it's them trying to, like, figure out what happened to them. And we also get kind of a side plot of Data planning Ro and Geordi's memorial service. And he and Worf has a very nice discussion about, like, sort of how important like Geordi is to Data, like that Geordi really taught him like what human friendship is, and that Geordi was very accepting of him. And they have a discussion about like about not death necessarily, but like remembrance of dead loved ones, and like, you know, how best it is to do that, and sort of like different discussions on different cultural practices of that, which ended up very nice. And another thing is like Riker says he wants to speak at Ro, like on behalf of Ro at the memorial, and Ro's like, what do you want to say? What do you want to say? But we never find out. It was a fun episode. After that is the famous The Inner Light. And I read out the Netflix description, which says, Picard wakes up in a village as a well-known member of the community, suffering from delusions of being a starship captain. And you had a very simple prediction. You said that the Romulans kidnap Picard and try to trick him into getting information. That very much doesn't happen. What happens is these ancient aliens, hashtag ancient aliens, the Enterprise comes across this device floating in space that comes from this alien society from like 10,000 years ago or whatever. It mind probes Picard and then puts him into like this sort of coma where he experiences the life of the average person on this planet. And fucking gaslight him the whole way doing it. So Picard lives this whole life where he has like a family, he has a wife and 2 kids, and like is living on this planet where like sort of the sun is about to explode and all that stuff. And it is a very like touching and interesting episode. I have my problems with it, but it is definitely deserved. It deserves its praises. And now the final episode of the season was Time's Arrow Part 1. And I told you that the ship goes back to Earth after it's discovered that there is evidence that aliens visited in the 1800s. So what you ended up theorizing is that archaeologists, they found a room with like a portrait of an alien family, and that it was like kept under wraps for like generations, that this like alien came to Earth and just kind of like lived. So what it turns out happens is that they find, these archaeologists were digging around Earth, they find some very uninteresting artifacts, which are like glasses and like a gun and whatever, but they also find Data's head. A very horrifying version of Data's head. And Data's like, well, it turns out that at some point I go back to the 1800s Earth and die. And they're like, what the fuck? We have to figure out how your head got there. It leads them to this planet where turns out aliens have been going back in time on Earth to like steal energy, and Data is stuck back in the 1800s with Mark Twain and Guinan, and it's very annoying. That's where we leave off this season. The gang follow Data back into the 1800s, and next season we'll see how that wraps up. So you had some pretty spot-on hits this season. And your grasp on the tropes of Star Trek is like very, very good at this point. Like even your plots that are like not accurate are like, no, that is totally something that would happen in a Star Trek episode.
Because I have now predicted other episodes of Star Trek.
Yeah. There's been occasions where you've predicted episodes of Star Trek that are like in the future, like far into the future. And I'm like, oh, I can't say anything.
I'm getting very good at this game.
Yes. So to end off our retrospective, what are your sort of hopes and dreams and stuff for season 6?
I want more group stuff, because all the stuff where they do together, like that we focus on the main team. Mm-hmm. I always enjoy those the most. I want more Dr. C stuff. Uh-huh. I want nice things for Troy. I'd like to see Wes again under better circumstances. Mm-hmm. I would love for Worf to have a nice storyline that has nothing to do with Alexander. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just want some nice stuff. I want a goofy episode. I want like a really silly, goofy episode.
Okay, so
And I want some fun costumes.
Nice. I think there are definitely a couple goofy episodes in this
yeah,
season.
Dory, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'll give you a little lay of the land of what's coming up in this season. You'll get a Q episode again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yay!
Because they have to make up for the fact that they didn't have Q this season. You get some of the silliest episodes in all of TNG back to back.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. I love that.
However,
that's great.
There isn't a heck of a lot of group stuff. They kind of move more towards doing individual character stories more often.
How
by this
dare
point.
you?
That said, there are some excellent standout episodes for several of the main cast coming up, including some of like the top 5 in the series.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. I guess I'll take that.
I think you'll enjoy them. Troy gets an excellent time to shine later on. Geordi gets a time to shine.
Yay.
I wouldn't say it's the best time to shine, but I won't explain any more than that.
Listen, I'll take whatever I can get.
That's fair. Riker gets a time to shine.
Nice.
Picard gets a couple of them, oddly enough. And we get some really weird sci-fi shenanigans, and also really early in the season is a bad episode. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Here's the real question. The most important thing of the whole season. We getting any more deep V's for Picard?
I mean, I don't remember, but probably.
Good.
You get shirtless Picard.
That's fine. But we love a deep V.
I don't think you'll find it sexy, but we'll see. Actually, yeah, you do get you get an action hero episode with Picard, and I won't say any more than that, and I won't tell you when it comes up.
But is he in sport mode?
Better.
Yeah.
Oh, ooh, superhero mode? Oh my god!
I can't tell you.
We also we get.
I'm sure when I see this outfit, I will come up with a name for it.
So we also get one episode that is very much an episode for TOS fans.
Yes.
So we don't know how you'll do with that one, but I remember it being a decently fun episode.
Actually, it holds up pretty well as a narrative. But I mean, we'll get to it when we get to it.
And we get a little taste of DS9 in this season.
Oh yeah,
because they
forgot about that.
They have a little bit of a crossover.
No, they have the most ambitious crossover in cinematic history.
Yeah, that's what you have to look forward to next season. And
Wonderful.
That's what you listeners have to look forward to next season. So please watch along with us and join us for next season of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.